Dr. Julie Gottlieb. I'm a reader in modern history at the University of Sheffield. I was historical advisor to the statue of Millicent Fawcett. I worked closely with the artist Gillian Waring. It's a really monumental monument because she is the first woman to take her place in Parliament Square. She was a leader of a democratic movement, a constitutional movement. She was the first among equals in the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies. It was about the work of all these women and a few men who made the vote happen in 1918. And that's the message of this statue. That's the important message of this statue. Therefore, it's important also that the people around the plinth are representative of a much wider demographic across regional lines, religious lines, ethnic lines, gender. This is about representing a whole movement. So Ellen Wilkinson is a fascinating figure for many reasons. As a young woman, as a student, she was a member and an activist for the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies. But it's what happened after that really puts her on the map, so to speak. She became an MP for two constituencies, eventually for Jarrow. She led the Jarrow marches in the 1930s, and she was a real pioneer as a Labour woman in all kinds of ways. She also ended her career as a minister in cabinet, as a minister for education. Flora Drummond is also a really interesting figure. She was actually called the general within the suffragette organization. I'm interested what happens next. Unlike the women who opposed the war, she turns very much in support of the war and joins Emmeline and Christabel in that effort to mobilize women for war. After the war, she becomes increasingly conservative and starts her own organization as one of the founders of the Women's League of Empire, which gives you the idea that she has definitely gone far from the labor roots of the suffragette organization. Helena Swanwick is a really important figure in many ways. She illustrates a lot about the movement itself, but also about what happens after the vote is won. So she begins as a suffragist and she remains a suffragist. When war breaks out, she takes a position of pacifism, which many suffragists and some suffragettes also took. And she also emerges after the war as a really important figure in a new field of international relations, and is quite groundbreaking by being a woman in that field. Complicatedly, by the late 1930s, she remains a pacifist, and it puts her in leagues with many people who kind of are starting to be apologists for Hitler, and it makes it quite kind of awkward and problematic. Makes it problematic on a personal level too, because there's a tragic end to her story. In 1939, in November, the war already started. She decides she really can't live through another war, and she takes her own life. Eleanor Rathbone is definitely another woman who deserves and needs to be around that plinth. She was an active suffragist, and she became an MP, an independent MP in 1929, where she was able to really make a difference in Parliament for women's rights and women's issues. Her main campaign was for the endowment of motherhood, which becomes child benefit when the welfare state is established in 1945. This isn't about looking through dusty archives and reading books. This is about being part of something that will be here for centuries, that will inform debate, that will motivate women and men towards democratic action. That's what this year has meant to me.